So let me say it. Watches are investments and assets, and they always been. But, yes, there is a but. Let me explain. There is a lot of talking on internet about whether watches can be investment or not. In this video I want to talk about watches as an investments and assets. We all have our opinions and our own truth, but it seems that some of the folks out there are only recently joined this watch enthusiast club and they probably seen only the latest trends and developments. I don't think that watch investors are ruining the watch hobby for watch collectors necessary, because watch investors and people who were investing in watches always been there. It's nothing new. What's new is the hype culture and people who chasing quick bucks. Again, if you really into watches, there are so many amazing watches available right now that you can buy, great horology pieces that you can buy right now. Nobody's chasing them, they don't have any hype. You can simply walk in the boutique and buy a watch. Like recently I was into GLC boutique in Toronto and they had plenty of watches available. You could buy instantly. Many Cartier watches you can buy with no problem. Recent years were quite crazy. It wasn't normal what was going on in the watch world. All that supply and demand issues are just crazy. I've been in this hobby for a pretty long time. I started getting into watches somewhere in 2002 maybe. It's been a bit more than 20 years already. Basically half of my life. Crazy, right? Of course, this fact doesn't make me an expert in watches. I'm more an enthusiast and hobbyist. If someone into something for a long time, it doesn't mean automatically this person is always right and he or she is an expert. But if you are into something for a long time, it means you've seen a lot of changes in the industry. That gives you some perspective. With this perspective, I want to talk about watches being investment and assets, and if you can consider a watch as an investment. I remember models that today are considered new vintage being modern, up-to-date watches that you could buy from a dealer. It's like when I'm talking about real estate in Toronto with people who's been in the game for decades and they have a different perspective from people who joined recently. Those are folks who remember different prices for homes and different interest rates. All the ups and downs in the market. We did not have YouTube and Instagram back then. It was magazines mostly, forums where watch enthusiasts were hanging out and exchanged the knowledge. I remember times when you could walk into an AD or a boutique and easily buy a regular Rolex, Patek Philippe Aquanaut or Audemars Piguet Royal Oak for the retail price or even below the retail price. Yes, retail price or even at discount. It is unimaginable in today's watch market when Royal Oak and Aquanauts are selling way over the retail on a great market. I remember when Vacheron Constantin overseas was like the ugly duckling from the brand, which was most appreciated for its classic watches. Overseas were the models that watch enthusiasts were making fun of. A Rolex Explorer was not a popular model. Omega prices were more reasonable, accessible. Sorry, I got carried away. Oh, good old days. Through my watch hobby I own different watches, nothing too expensive. Omegas, Longines, Girard-Perregaux, Rolexes, Tissot, Maurice Lacroix, Frederic Constant, vintage watches. So watches are investment, always been and probably always will be. But there is a catch. Bear with me here. There were always people who were investing in watches, on different levels. Back in the days, you had to be very knowledgeable in order to make money with watches. I would divide those people into major categories. First are people with a lot of money who would be buying rare and collectible Pateks, Vacherons, Rolexes, just to diversify their investments. They mostly kept watches like art in safes or deposit boxes. Another category was people who were watch enthusiasts, had some extra cash and were buying collectible watches with the investment possibility but to wear and enjoy. It wasn't like in recent years, when any Rolex, Patek, AP bought at retail could be instantly flipped with profit. Back then, people on forums were discussing which Patek, AP, Vacheron or Rolex models could have investment possibility. I wasn't in any of those categories, I simply was buying what I liked and could afford. But it was interesting to see the conversations. Another thing that I want to mention, that watch brands are always increase their prices. If you buy a watch at retail today, there's a big chance that in 5 years the value of this watch will increase. But in both cases it was a long game. It wasn't something that you can turn around overnight. I will give you a few of my personal examples. Watches that I bought and sold. Universal Genève Polar Autor, not the Genta model. I bought it around $500 and sold it for about the same. Today the same model would go for about $2,000. Gerard-Perregaux Richeville I bought many years ago from an AD in Kiev with discount from retail. I sold it in a few years with a couple of $100 profit. The model is quite rare, and today the lowest price for this model I saw is more than double from the retail price. Another example, that I used to own a Gerard-Perregaux Geramatic vintage model that I sold, and I actually still have another similar model. The prices for this model haven't changed much, so no profit there. Rolex Oyster Quartz. I sold it in about 11 years ago with a small profit from what I paid, and today the same model is selling more than a double the price. If I kept it today, they would make me a much bigger profit. But I wasn't investing in watches, and I wasn't chasing profit. I wasn't thinking about that. I was simply enjoying, and I was selling when I needed money, or maybe I was tired of this watch. But I'm just giving you a few examples on how watches actually can be investment pieces. Even regular watches, not super collectible ones. I do not encourage you to become an investor in watches. I don't give any financial advices. If you will be investing with not enough knowledge, you most likely lose. I'm just simply saying that some watches tend to increase its value, and they could be a potential investment. Today we live in a social media era surrounded by hype culture. Times where flippers will join anything where they can earn some quick money. Past recent years, the Rolex Patek shortage and high demand made the flipping game very easy. As long as you have a relationship with an AD, you could flip watches all day long. Any hyped or desired watches bought for a retail price can be flipped, sometimes with a great profit. As a disclaimer, I have nothing against great dealers or enthusiasts passionate about watches who turn hobby into part of full-time business. Many of them are helping to source watches that are not obtainable from dealers. At the same time, there are many great watches from Omega, GLC, Blancpain, IWC that you can buy today at the retail price. Simply walk in. They are great watches, but people don't want them. They are chasing the hype. Most likely they won't be a good investment, because you will lose about 20% right away after putting it on your wrist. Of course, there's a chance that in the long run you may gain it all back, but still you can't consider it as an investment. I always compare it to real estate. Although it's not comparable from the necessity perspective, not like watches, real estate is something that you really need. But anyway, it's like with real estate. In most cases, if you buy a house for yourself to live, not to flip, not to make a profit, if it will go up in price, great. If not, it's okay also. At least you're paying off your own house. And I truly think that this is the more or less healthy approach with watches as well. So again, there always were and are watch collectors, enthusiasts who were investing money into watches. Only the quality of the investors was different, I think. You had to know the watch world, the history, models. It's not like you would wait at the watch boutique overnight to be the first one to buy that Moon's watch, to flip it easily. So to my conclusion, can watches be investment? Yes. Do you have to invest in them? It's up to you. I'm not trying to be a smart ass. I'm just sharing my point of view on the situation that we had. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about this situation, what you think about watches as investment. Am I right or wrong? How long have you been in this watch collecting hobby? Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. It really does help the channel. I'll see you next time. Bye now and take care.